welcome back to another episode of Recovery Life. My name is Latoya, and we are back. So today's guest is no stranger to you all. Some of you have met him. He hasn't been on our show in a while, so I'm going to let him reintroduce himself to you. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Toya, and I'm so grateful that you asked me to come in and share. Like I said, I ain't been in a while. I'm from MadryTemple Church in New London. I've been there going over 32 years. I'm also in the field working with people who are mentally challenged and what have you. But otherwise than that, I am doing pretty good for my age,
Okay.
I'll be 73 years old this year.
Oh, that's young.
And I'm still working and doing what I have to do. But I always say, I thank God for being here. My name is Matthew, and I do love recovery, And that's the bottom line. Even though I'm a minister in the church, I do recovery as much as I can. No matter what the situation is, I still keep coming.
And I love that you mentioned so many things that I love and have a passion for all in one sentence. Yeah. Like I love God, I love recovery, and just helping people, period. So right. You were talking about the mental health field, and so there's a lot of those things I want to hit on today. So tell me about your love for recovery, because obviously when you have a love for recovery, a passion for recovery, there's something in that helps you to help service our community. What is that passion for you?
It's kind of strange how I came into recovery, first of all, because I was dodging it for a while, because I had a friend that was in recovery, and God bless him, he died when I was 20 years clean. He wasn't my sponsor. He kind of taught me the ropes. But it has afforded me so much opportunity through the grace of God, how to utilize the meetings, how to use the basic text, the spiritual principles. Some people disagree, but it's okay, as long as I understand and do what is required of me. I just love people. I just love helping addicts, people who are in the church, who may have mental illness. I have a lot of resources that I work through Reliance Health in Norwich, Connecticut, up in Jewish City with the veterans. And so this is where my drive come from, and it motivates me to a point, not to a point, but it kind of shows me a different spectrum of life and things that I can do, exerting oneself, and still laying back and say, well, you're getting old now. Just get your rocking chair and smoke a pipe and sit on your porch and watch the grass grow. No, I'm not that type of person. I'm a very challenging person. I like to go out and get what God has in store for me. And the things that I achieve in life is not through my own doing. It's through my struggles, what I came from. Using heroin for over 20-something years, now going on 32 years in recovery, things that I have achieved, I couldn't believe, I even went to college at the age of 66. Wow. I'm older than my professor, I'm sitting with these kids, I said, my God, but you know what? I work through it because recovery teaches that. I always try to utilize the spiritual principles in my Bible, because I'm a minister also at MadryTemple Church in New London.
Okay, so let's stop there for 1 second. You went to a great place from another great place. So how did you get from one place to the next? Because I know it's hard enough to be a part of recovery and then to join something even higher level than you, because that means that in your recovery you already had God. You already had to have him. So at some point in your recovery, you surrendered over to God and you said that this is the only way that I'm going to stay clean. How did that happen for you?
What happened was, it's kind of weird, because I just stumbled into the room. I just happened to stumble into the room because I was upset with my other half. I said, I'm going to teach you a lesson, because they were codependent and they didn't want me to go nowhere. And so I said, let me start going to meetings. And then I fell into the rooms. And then once I fell into the rooms, something miraculous happened to me. It's like my spirit was broken. And because I was hearing somebody sharing something about step 9, which I don't even know about. Did you understand? But I found tears were just trickling down my face. I said, you know what? This is the right place for me to be. And then I went and searched for God. I went and tried to find a church. I used to go from New London to Ansonia for a while. Then I got tired. I said, Lord, please show me something. And the Lord showed me this building. And I've been here going on with 32 years now. The transitioning, it was miraculous. It's unexplainable, but it was miraculously done. Matter of fact, I walk in there, and the message that he preached was Matthew chapter 5. You know, not me. You know, he wasn't talking about me, but it was Matthew chapter 5. And when he was speaking the message by Pastor Jackie Madry, it seemed like everything just opened up for me.
So at that time, when everything opened up for you, were you invested in the rooms? Because I don't say each fellowship, I just say the rooms so that we respect the fellowship. But were you, when you found the building, the church, were you already invested in a fellowship outside of MadryTemple?
No.
You had not chosen?
I chose no place yet. I was just going to meetings on a regular basis with my sponsor,
just
2 or
meetings.
3 times a day, because I was disabled. Because in my story, as you already know, I had AIDS. I had contact AIDS back in the 80s, and it's unheard of. People still alive today, and I'm a miracle. And like I said, everything that I have done, it seems like it's unexplainable, but I can tell you about it. I can talk about it, you know. And you know, and by me being in the rooms, it kind of give me time out, reflect.
Right.
So what you gonna do now? So I find myself going to church. I go to church as much as I can every day. I think in 32 years, I could count on my hand that I missed church, you know, on one hand, because I was sick, you know, something like that. But otherwise than that, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I hope I answered your question.
You are, and so it's taken me to another place. And the thing about when you have the gift of the vision of God in you, is what people don't understand is when you are a recovery, I'm a addict in recovery as well. You can see things and discernment around other people that they can't see, and they don't understand that vision. And so when you used to run the class, for example, on Thursday nights at MadryTemple, the value, I'm so glad that I understood the value of what was being taught at that time, and saying that the steps are in the Bible. Like the steps are connected to the Bible. Not everybody is going to see it that way. Not everybody has to get it that way, because there's no one way to recover. So, but it is. The steps are in the Bible. So when you have somebody who's coming in who's new, and they have no idea about 12 steps, let alone
the Bible.
Bible. Tell me what that conversation looks like.
My conversation is asking them a question. What do you want? How do you feel? Then as they talking, I share my experience with them. To let them know, like, they're not alone. I can identify with you. Maybe you did things a little different, but it's still the same thing. That hunger, that anger, that loneliness, and tired, just being tired. Wanting something, but you don't know what you want. Because there's a big void that's inside of you that is so empty, and it had to get filled. In time past, I used to try to fill it with drugs, alcohol, women, money, anything but the right thing. I tried to fill that void, and I found out by finding God, chasing after him. You know, I never caught him. He gives me glimpses of him, and when he gives me glimpses of him, it gives me hope. I have to keep on pressing, you know, in search of him, because I don't want to give up the search. But in the search, I find myself staying clean. I find myself still in the meetings. I find myself helping other people that need help, showing love. And the greatest gift that we have, being in the rooms or in the church or anywhere, is love. If you don't have love, man, you don't have anything. I was teaching on that yesterday. You know, be clothed with Christ, or be clothed with humility. And it all boils down to love. which gives you that cohesion. You know, it gives you that bond. It gives you that unity. And people are more receptive of love. At first, they probably don't understand it. They probably reject you. But if you keep on showing them love, man, they say, man, my God, let me just surrender.
Well, they're afraid of love because it's kind of foreign to them. They're not really used to what that looks like and what is real and what's real. You know, so before I lose my thought, so you were talking about the transition and going into the church and becoming more invested in the church. So do you think, I've heard it in the street, word in the street is that you are searching for souls. And so when you go out, you're reaching out into the community to deliver souls. At what point do you feel that we transition from one place to the next? Because I think that, you understand what when I say you're coming for souls, like you're coming to deliver souls to God?
Yeah, I understand that. Be witnessing. Yeah.
And I've heard that's the word in the street, that you're coming for souls. So that's why you're unapologetic about things, and that's the way because you have a purpose, and this is what your purpose is, which is an amazing thing. So tell me how you go into the community of the unknown and you show them the first step to get to the second step. And just life itself.
Well, what I do, Latoya, is be a friend.
Yeah.
You know, listen, because people are crying. People are hurting. They have this facade on, but behind that mask, man, there's a turbulence going on. And so what I do is I listen to them. I'll take them out for a cup of coffee or invite them for a breakfast, you know, and just allow them to talk. And I allow myself to be me. It's not so much about bringing people to the church, trying to get people the help that they need, which is so important. Yes, I love to bring everybody to the church, but it's not going to work out that way.
Right. And not the church. And so that's not what I'm saying at all, because I completely believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and it's not about the building of a church. It's not that, and I am a part of MadryTemple as well. It's about souls. It's about bringing souls to where they need to be so that they can serve their purpose on this earth as well.
There was a story in the Bible about a good Samaritan. This man was beaten up so bad, and was left for dead on the side of the road. And here comes this religious leader, so pious, you know, he crossed the street. You know, there come people like, think they got it all together, see a person there, just let them stay there, because they feel like they deserve what what they're getting. But here comes a man that with great compassion. He will pick that man up, you know, feed him, you know, give him a place to stay, even clothe him, and tell the person who owned the building, you know what, whatever he needs, you give it to him, and I pick up the tab later on. This is what we are supposed to be doing as people who are in the rooms or who are in church or just existing in life. We is our brother's keeper. You know, we are supposed to be helpers of one another. A lot of people disagree with me because I don't follow their pattern. I don't do what they do. In the beginning, I have, but then God showed me something different. You know, and what He showed me, it's the same thing, but it's on a different level, which they don't understand. They don't understand that the 12 steps are supposed to bring you to God. You know, and when you come to God, it is your responsibility to learn about Him so you can have a relationship with Him. Yes, you can do the 12 steps, read the basic text, sponsor a lot of people, do what you got to do. Where's God at?
Right.
You're doing all the works, but we talk about faith, but where's the faith at? You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, God probably wants you to do that, but are you really giving Him all His props like He's supposed to? Are you really getting your information
So are
from
you
Him?
taking that time, basically, are you taking that time that you're spending on the 12-step, sponsoring people, going to these different events, and bringing your God into, because a lot of times we'll run into people who don't have a God yet. They don't know what their ideas, and you know, in the literature it talks about they have that right. They don't have to choose, my God is not your God and your God is not mine. However, my God is going to be strong enough for us to connect and me still to love a person unconditionally. And they're going to know they're coming into a situation unjudged and loved. And so when we get to that place, that's how we get to show them where God is in the steps. Regardless of whether we're saying that or not, we know that God is in those steps.
Yeah, because in another book I read, it said, be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. You know, you ain't got to show your hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just try to mess with somebody and
wise
get with them.
as a serpent. And that's the clever part. See, because people like you and I, you don't forget where you come from, but God showed you how to use it in a different way to bring in other people. Because if you're just taking it and thinking, it's like these trees, I don't even know if they're real or not, but they die. They die. And that's not what he wants. He wants the roots to grow off. And so when we use those roots, we're actually helping other people so that they know that they can grow as well. We don't just take that information and all that life we lived and say, I gave it to God, it's over with, I'm saved. No, that's not how it works. You're stealing when you do that. And you're not doing your service. So it's like if you have a shelf here and you have all these gifts that God has given you and you let dust cover them up. That's your choice. But when you go out there and you have this discernment inside of you and you have all this information and education from the life you lived, you combine the two things and you become a servant of God.
Yes. Latoya, this is why, I'm not trying to blow smoke, or anything like that. This is why you have this personality that you're like a magnet towards people, because you illustrate and you are what you talk about. God gives us a gift. He gives us a seed. And it's up to us how we nourish that seed. And how does we plant that seed? We don't plant it in people. We don't plant it in the room. Oh, God, Jesus. We plant it within our own self. We have to nourish that seed. And once we nourish that seed, we don't see it. We don't see the struggles that seed has to go to before you break the outer layer of it. We don't see the seed sprouting down inward, because you got to go down before you come up. And by you going down, what happens is we are being connected. And whatever that you are connected to, just like a tree, it's going to give you indication something is happening beneath that ground, that dirt. You're going to see a little leaf springing up. I'm not a farmer, but you will see something.
Because farmers don't grow leaves.
You start to germinate from the soil. It's showing that there is something that's happening on the inside. It's the same thing with our lives. Once you get this recovery and live this life and have God in your life, people have to see some type of evidence in you. It's not so that you are so far away from them that they can't reach you. No, it's for you to reach them. We are more in the need of them than in the need of us.
And then when you say the need for me to reach them, and the way that happens is for them to come to me. That's the part people don't understand. It's never like... if I'm coming to you, I'm already out of bounds doing that immediately. That's not what this is supposed to happen. It's supposed to be the seed we just talked about growing, where people come because of that, and they want more of what, and they don't even know what it is they want of you. They just know they want to be there right now. And so that's that part. When I come and force feed you something that you didn't ask to eat, you're not going to be very happy with that. So coming in, you're like, let me try a little bit here, let me try a little bit there, and see how that feels. Because now I understand from just this little conversation that we've had so far why I'm uncomfortable going into other people's atmosphere, because it's not mine. That's not my atmosphere. So it's not that I'm standoff. I don't feel safe in this atmosphere. There's something or somebody in it that's not for me.
See, everything that I look at, I try to look at it from a biblical standpoint. Just like you talk about the atmosphere, is not conducive to your spirit. It's a story in the Bible when how we trying to be seen, and we rush to the front. But when somebody greater than you come in, that person that invites you to come and say, hey, why don't you go sit back there? Because why? You pushing yourself in a place that you're not supposed to be in yet. Be invited. Let the invitation be extended to you. And once the invitation be extended to you, now it's time for you to show up and show out.
And show out, because they always say the most insecure person is the loudest person in any room. That's going to be the person hollering all over the place and cartwheels in the middle of the floor.
That don't mean me, 'cause I talk loud.
That's his natural conversation, it's one of those things. But you know, it's just when you talk about the dynamics of changing your scenery, people are the first things to go.
Yes, yes.
And it just happens. It has to be that way because your train of thought has to change in order for you to change the way things go in your life, and you're going to notice. And by saying it doesn't mean get out of my life. That's not what I mean. It means that you're going to be doing something so great and so productive that people, you won't even notice they're not there anymore.
Right, right. You know, I think what we do sometimes, Latoya, we fail to see the plan. Mm-hmm. We don't know the plan.
Right.
Because we are so accustomed to doing things our way, and we still hold on to old ideas. And the old ideas keeping us trapped. Old ideas keeping us going backwards. Right. The old ideas help us continue to want something, and we don't know what we want. And so what I did was I found out the plan.
Right.
Who had the greatest plan but God? Just because I'm seeking God, it doesn't stop me from coming to the rooms and being the person I'm supposed to be so I can relate to other people. But I had the plan. Because the Bible says, except God builds a house, he has to build a house. You can't have faith unless he builded it. Because he is the architect and the builder of your faith. So except God built a house, he said, if we try to do it, we do it in vain. And not saying that we can't build now. Right. But it's not going to work out.
Right. It ain't gonna last.
It's not gonna work out.
Like the three pigs, blowing them down, right?
Yeah. In case they want to know, that Psalms 127 and 1.
Yeah,
okay?
You see?
You know, and so I learned how to incorporate the things of God to the best of my ability. Do I do it all the time rightly? No. I make a lot of mistakes on a daily basis, you know. I'm not perfect. We are imperfect. I think in the third step said that it's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
You know, don't beat yourself up, man. Just dust yourself off. The 7 says that, you ask God to remove, because the Bible said a just man falls 7 times, but he rises 7 times. Right. It's showing that we are imperfect people.
But mistakes also mean that you're productive.
That's right.
Because if you're, and I'm looking in the camera like his man said, look, mistakes mean you're productive. Yes. Because if you're not productive, you're not making mistakes because you ain't making moves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So therefore, if you're out there, you're doing the works of God, or you're doing the work, anything that you're doing to change something is the work of God.
I'm gonna add to what you just said just now. Mistakes are also your experiences to give you the latitude to accomplish your goals.
Okay. All right. Latitude. All right. Because at the end of the day, it's true. Yeah. It's about, I'll give you an example. I hear people sometimes talk about, I'll just say a person, even though it's not a person, talk about there's not enough time in a day. This is not even, I've just heard it through time. There's not enough time in the day to do this, or I don't have enough time to do that. And I'll just give you an example. There was a time, one day, when I was with my husband and we went to Jersey, Philadelphia, New York City, Connecticut, all in one day. And I mean literally did an activity in each one of those states. And the sun was still up by the time we got back to Connecticut. So you can't tell me that the person almighty who runs the time, the clock, is not giving you enough time to be productive. So at the end of the day, what do you find that you run up against when you see people who you just know are not there, they're just not ready yet? What do you do?
Pray for them. I pray for that God will intervene somehow or some way, or place someone in their lives to guide them in their recovery, as I said in Thursday prayer, and show them how to live. Because once we're being shown how to live, it comes attraction now, and it gives you a different perspective on life. It's okay to go to conventions, nothing wrong with that. It's okay to go to meetings. It's okay to sponsor people. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But God got more than that for you in store. We have to exert oneself. We have to enlarge our territories, lengthen the core and strengthen the stage, because why? You got to make room for what's about to come into your life.
Strengthen the stage.
And there is great things that is coming into every believer's life if they could stay rooted in the things of God. don't try to fight God. He's too big. He's too big. But if they don't understand, it's okay if you don't understand. Just show them love. Continue to show love. Sooner or later, they will find God. But it's up to us how we treat people.
Right.
You cannot make people do something what you think that they need to do. Because when you do that, you're in error. You're operating in error. And just because you do a lot of things, it doesn't make you right. Just because you got this click over here and this click over here, that doesn't mean that that click is right.
Right.
What does God say is in the end? Because programs is a spiritual base, which comes from a spirit.
Right.
And that spirit is of God. And that's why the whole spiritual principles
Right.
is built around God. I always say, you probably get sick time of hearing saying it, the 12 steps are instructions for construction
That's right.
to build your spiritual house for a loving, caring God to come on in.
That's right. But you got to know what to do once it gets there.
Yes.
And the bottom line, we only have a couple minutes, so
Yeah.
the bottom line is you have to do some demolition work. You got to break down everything that was once there.
Infrastructure, yeah.
Because otherwise, if you were to get sick and throw up, all the good stuff comes up first. So if you don't get down to the root and take all of that stuff from the root and
Right.
get it out of there,
Right.
you can't put good stuff in there over there.
That's why, it said our disease are a symptom. Addiction is a symptom of our disease.
Right. It's the thinking. The
I don't
thinking,
want-
the way you think, the way you live your life, all of that stuff
Yeah.
is...
I don't want to deal with the symptom. I want to get to the root.
Right, get to the root.
Kill the root
Right.
of that disease. If you kill the root of that disease, you will see a better way of life.
That's
in
so
yourself.
true. That's so true. And that's where the work comes in.
Yeah.
Because when you take all of that stuff out, what are you putting back in it to replace the stuff you took out? Because you can put some stuff in there that's worse than what you took out.
Yes,
and that's the
yes,
part people
yes,
don't understand.
yes.
You can do all of these things, and you can reroot garbage in there, and it can grow worse, right?
Yes.
So, the time went by so fast.
Wow.
Yeah, we got to get you back in here again. That's some good talking. That's good conversation.
Yes.
That's why it went so fast. So, I'm happy that you came here today.
I appreciate you, Latoya. I always
Thank you.
do.
If you want to give the church a shout out, tell them what the church is real quick.
My church is MadryTemple Church on 25 Man Warren Street in New London, Connecticut. My pastor is Jackie's Madry. I am one of the associate ministers there, along with other ministers. And also, I work for Reliance Health in Norwich, Connecticut. If you are homeless or you got some type of mental illness, you can go onto reliancehealth.org and you can get all the information that you need to help you or to assist you in the struggles that you may be facing today.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you for being here. And thank you out there. We're hoping that we see you again next week. And thank you for joining us on another episode. This is the second week in a row that I stuttered. I think that I got to look into that, y'all, because last week I stuttered too. So you see that? I love making mistakes.
You're just excited.
Yeah, look at it. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Recovery Live.
Take the beat to the street.